I'm going to turn you down as well because I'm waiting for a "What is up, guys?" It's going to, like, blow my drums out.
I'll stay away from the mic. Here we go. I think this is far enough. What is up, guys? And we're back for a PvP video.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, hello, everybody. We're back for episode 2 of 10 for the Dummies for PvP series. Me and Matt, we're here in the heart of the mist. We're gonna try and have, like, a bit of, you know, raw PvP footage going on right now. Someone's sending me a party request. So, basically, we're gonna try and have some actual PvP footage going on. But for today, we're gonna look at 2 large elements to the whole PvP experience before segueing quite nicely into builds, which I kind of wanted to do for this video instead of next, but actually I think this way makes a lot more sense. Okay, so first of all, Matt, I need to show you the difference between the rated and the hotjoin PvP, which is something I mentioned before, yeah? If you remember.
Right.
From last.
So this is the hotjoin over here in this PvP browser, and there's actually tournaments?
Yeah.
Is that where you get
Well,
rated?
they're called tournaments. Okay. They're not really tournaments anymore. But basically, I'm going to explain this stuff. While I do you just kind of want to run around the heart of the mists? Because, like, we showed barely any of this off. This place is huge, guys. And there's, like, an ArenaNet logo. Have you really never been around here? Like,
I've been around the side, but I've never been over here before. Wow.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff, man. So one big thing, guys, about the Heart of the Mists is it's got a lot of resources for practicing your skills if you're on a new profession and you've, like, never used them before. And even, like, really pretty heavy buildcraft stuff that you can really get into the nitty-gritty of. There are areas where you can practice and interact with essentially all the secondary mechanics of the maps. There's even some, like, siege stuff over here, which you can practice if you want, even though, like, there's only one map. Like, there's one map that uses cannons, and that's not even in, like, tournament rotation, which is pretty funny. But yeah, so if you want to run around here and give people something to watch, I'll start basically explaining the difference between hotjoin and rated.
All right.
So basically, like I said last time, we've only got conquest, right? That's the only game type in the game, yeah? But there are different ways that you can actually access it and play it in Gw2. And the first of those is hotjoin, which is kind of the initial thing I think a lot of players should really play when they first get into the game. Hotjoin, as I showed you last episode, hotjoin's server-based, right? So you get a big long list of places that you can click to, and you'll go into various maps with different rule sets. But essentially in hotjoin, they just cycle maps over and over and over. And the main thing about hotjoin is you can jump in and out at any time. You don't have to wait to queue in. You can go into a match just before it ends, or you can jump out of a match, like, right at the start. And basically because of that, and also because the most popular maps are 8v8, even though Conquest is designed for 5v5, hotjoin's kind of crappy, honestly. I'm just going to go out there and say it. In my opinion, I think most people's opinion, hotjoin's really bad.
Why is that? Is it because there's, like, just random people coming in, the skill levels just vary so much that it's so uneven?
Not so much that, even, to be honest. It's just that if people are dropping in and out in the middle of the matches, it's really hard to feel like any game you're playing has some meaning, because and you can swap teams as well in the middle. So if someone drops out of red team and red team was winning, someone on blue can be like, okay, I'm just gonna go join the winning team now, and then that's it. They're gonna basically face roll. So it really doesn't help either that, as I say, most of the maps have got 8v8 people running around. So the maps are only a certain size. They're balanced for 5v5 play, and because you can have 8 people per team, 16 people on the map instead of 10, that means a huge difference. Like, without even trying it, the game feels ridiculously zergy, and you're essentially rewarded as well for zerging around with people. So any notion of actually paying attention to the conquest mechanics is just, it goes out the window. It really does. Nobody cares about actually winning the game. People just run around there to farm for glory. Yeah?
Yeah, that does make sense, because a few games I've played, it's like usually just like one-sided almost.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, you see people constantly, and you see, like, the other team and, like, 3 people left, and you're like, oh wow.
Yeah.
People just quit so easily. And yeah, I can understand that. Those are probably people who haven't been playing PvP.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah.
And that happens in hotjoins too. So hotjoins can be fun, I've got to say, and they're useful in that if you just want to sit down and PvP, and honestly mindlessly PvP, you can just jump in at any time. And they're also really useful when you're learning a new class, because honestly, when you're just, I'm sort of crapping all over hotjoin right now, but when you just start out, hotjoin can be really fun. And I do think essentially for the first 10 ranks or so, people should definitely be playing playing it, because it teaches you the maps, it teaches you in general what everyone else's profession can do, which is a massive part of actually being good at PvP. You know, PvE you can get by learning your own skill bars, yeah, but in PvP you're learning everyone else's skill bars. That's like a massive part of it. So you know, you could be a good guardian, but you're going to need to know the intricacies of what kind of builds warriors are playing and what you can expect them to do, and like the tells and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, man, because some of these casters, they know every single skill. You know, it's like, oh,
Yeah.
he's using the scepter. That means he's using the number 2 special illusionary mesmer thing. And I'm like, oh gosh.
Yeah, it's really not that bad though, honestly. I mean, you can just generally learn who are the classes that are going to burst you down and how they do it. And in general, you don't need to know all the 100%, you know, recharge on everything. But, you know, we'll come to that. I want to talk about that in like a couple of episodes' time, how best to get through that. But this is what hotjoin's good for, right? That's the strength of hotjoin. You can just jump in and out, and that's also the weakness of it, that people are jumping in and out. The other way to play PvP, okay, is rated. And if you're going to be playing it for any, you know, considerable amount of time, that's where you'll spend most of your time. So if you want to, I can see you just practicing the guys on the guys in Heart of the Mist there. If you want to go to the waypoint where we first got in, I'll show you how to access rated. There you go. There we go.
Oh,
there we go.
okay,
So just near where you can get your gear in the Heart of the Mists, just next to the waypoint, actually, you can find this guy called the Tournament Master. He's called the Tournament Master because essentially this format used to be real tournaments. Now it's just 1v1 matchups. ArenaNet have been a little bit lazy, I guess, in sort of changing all the text to reflect that. To queue in for rated, you just literally speak to this person. You can queue if you want, you might not get a match. But you would speak to this person and this window will pop up. This will tell you the rewards for actually placing. And most of this UI stuff is redundant right now because, as I say, the tournament system changed. But it will tell you what map the tournament are currently going on, or the 1v1 matchups that are going on at the moment, what your rewards are, and in the bottom right hand corner of that window you'll see that you can either create a roster, which will let you play with your friends. If you had people in your party, you can click that and then invite party, or you can just go solo. So you can click submit, or you can join solo. Once you've created a roster, which is what you've just done, you can actually see that the PvP icon in the top left has changed now. Can you see that? That we originally used to get here. Yeah, can you see that? So if you click that now, you'll see on the left you've got a roster with all the people waiting for a tournament and a submit button. So you can click that cog to disband it if you didn't want to play, or you can just click submit to play alone, or you can type player names to invite them to a party. So there you go, you can disband. You might as well try and join solo and see what happens. So if you click that, there you go. You're rostered in, and now you're just waiting for a match, basically, at the moment. And this is the one downside of Rated. Rated, unlike hotjoin, it's not you can jump in and out all the time. Now, instead, you have to wait for the match. And what the game's going to do is try and find 9 other people for you, 4 for your team, and then 5 people for another team, who are all of similar skill, hopefully. And then it's going to put you all in together, and you're going to be able to actually play in a proper 5v5. That if somebody DCs and lags out, nobody else is going to be able to jump in, which is a downside, but it's locked off. It's real conquest under the real rules, how the game's actually meant to be played in like a proper setting, right? And because of that, it's a hell of a lot more fun. Like, the matches actually have meaning. You do play to win. And of course, if you've got friends and people that you want to play with, and bear in mind that doesn't mean a full team, you can actually, you know, have something real going, yeah?
How
Honestly,
often
rated,
does it is it like Elo? Is it like League of Legends where it's
I don't know. Is it Elo? I don't know actually how they rate you up, but there was a post on. I saw on Reddit. There was like a post on the forums where someone was like, "Oh, they need to fire the guy that did the rating system," and then they posted the credentials of this guy that did it, and he had like all this crazy stuff from Harvard and stuff. It was like insane. But they do rate you up. The main problem right now is the leaderboards, and then the higher rated you get, the more difficult enemies you'll go up against, and also you'll climb the leaderboards, right? The main problem right now is because there aren't too many people playing, particularly on NA. It's a lot more stable on EU. Because there aren't so many people playing, like, the leaderboards are really volatile. If you win a couple of matches, you'll, like, zoom way up above loads of other people. And that's just... I think ArenaNet have done what they can, and until the community grows a bit more, which it has been doing recently, we're going to have quite volatile leaderboards like that anyway. Which is a bit of a shame, but yeah. The main point of Rated, though, isn't necessarily to climb really high on the leaderboards because they're so volatile. It's just because this is the most fun way way to do PvP. And here's the really sad and upsetting thing about this game, like the reason why we have so few people actually doing the damn PvP side of the game, is because most people jump into hot joins, play it for a bit, get bored of it, and then think, oh, PvP is kind of naff in this game, and just leave it there. And they never get to... So there you go, your tournaments pop, so you can click go now.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, you'll probably get annoy some people. Like, we'll see how it goes. Are you like spec'd to just like deal damage at the moment? I guess.
No.
You're not.
I'm
okay.
a tanky.
All right, so try and find a point and sit on a point. So we've got an actual tournament match going on here. How long that took you to queue is pretty reasonable, but a lot of the times during peak hours it will like instantly pop. But yeah, everybody just like plays a little bit of hotjoin and doesn't realise that if they play the rateds, aside from all this leaderboard stuff and reward stuff, this is just fun. This is actually experiencing the game and having genuinely a lot of fun with it. And I would say that once you are competent in hot joins and once you do know your class and you know generally how the game works, this is the best place to PvP. To me, it's the only place that you can PvP, and you'll have a real blast playing it, man. Like this is it. This is the experience right here. And that's
really?
Yeah. And that's the difference between rated and hot joins at the moment. Hot joins are kind of boring, but they're nice places to jump into. And the community leaks because everybody just sees that and thinks that's all there is. You know?
So I saw chest. So what do you get for winning those tickets? So it's like the MOA race, right? Where you win tickets depending on...
Well, you used to win tickets. Basically, there used to be two different types of tournaments you could play. You would have free tournaments, which if you won, they would give you tickets. And then you could spend those tickets on paid tournaments. And that was a really good idea and a really strong idea and a really fun idea, but there weren't enough people playing. So essentially, the paid tournaments barely ever popped. Like, very rarely people actually managed to play those. And by winning paid tournaments, by the way, you could actually get gems. Like, it was a really good way to get money and stuff. Like, you would just get free gems if you were on a really good PvP team. So where you saw those tickets earlier, they're not actually in the game anymore, but if you've still got them in your inventory, you can trade them for just like chests and stuff at the moment. And you can get a lot of unique gear and stuff from doing the tournament side stuff or the rated stuff, which I'll get into. We'll look at the rewards pretty shortly. My recommendation for this series definitely is what we're going to have you do is play a lot of hot joins while you just essentially learn how the mechanics of the game work, and then we're going to be moving you over to rateds. And you know, joining solo queues pretty fine as well. A lot of people get a bit intimidated by playing this because they're like, oh, I don't want to totally screw up. I don't want to, you know, have all these people rage at me in chat. And I think really this game and a lot of games, to be honest, get a really bad rap for having, you know, these terrible communities. But in truth, they're not terrible at all. They're just like touchy people who are prone to offense that then go and cry on the forums that someone, you know, said one word to them because they were doing something wrong, you know. Like, it's really not that bad. You rarely see people say stuff in map chat at all, except for like good game and good luck and have fun, you know.
And about that, like, the thing is, even League of Legends, right? They say, oh, League of Legends is the worst community ever. See, the thing is, it's because a lot of people play it. Yeah. You gotta understand, not everyone in this world is a nice person. They're not. And when they're on the internet, they tend to be extremely do whatever they want because they have no consequence towards it. So this is gonna always happen in any game. It's not gonna, you know, it's not gonna change. Oh, I stepped out.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Yeah, I know how hard it's probably gonna be while you're defending the node here. That's generally the difference between hot join and rated. The other thing I wanted to look at in this video, which we're going to have to establish now before I give you a proper build, is what different roles there are in PvP. Okay, so what's kind of your understanding right now of the roles in the conquest game type?
From what, like, I'm pretty sure I'm with everyone where it's just like, there's the bunkers, right? That what we all hear about, where they're guardians, and sometimes it was elementalists. Wow, I last pretty long there. And there's the people that roam around, and I've seen Mesmers kind of port like a whole bunch of people over. To like one across the map and stuff like. So I saw strategies like that in Hot Join because I've never played. This is my first time in tournament at all.
Okay. No, you're pretty much right. Like, in the most simplistic of terms, there are two types, and this is really simple. There are two types of players in Guild Wars 2 PvP. You've got the bunkers, and then there are roamers. That's really simple, but essentially, because the game type isn't deathmatch, because it's conquest, the way to win isn't to simply out DPS the other team. You do need to have this variety in the roles that you're playing, right? The bunkers are people who defend the nodes that you own, while the roamers are the ones that run around, traveling around the map, assaulting points and killing people, right? Attacking the other team's bunkers. The reason why bunkers work is because, obviously, to win, as we described before, you need to have these nodes in your favor. And while you're stood on that node defending it, it doesn't matter how many enemies go on it as well. Actually, we had a really good example of this. It doesn't matter how many enemies stand on it, they won't decap it as long as you are still alive.
Still on it, right, exactly.
The mechanics could have been very different there. It could have been if two of them are on and only one of you, they start to slowly decap, but they don't work that way at all. As long as you're there alive on the node, it will be in your favor. So you've got the bunkers and the roamers. The bunkers try their best to stay alive. Those are really simplistic terms, and Guardians at the moment are really, and now a lot of people will say that DPS Guardians can work, but we'll talk about that next episode, are really very effective as bunkers rather than anything else. And that's what we're gonna look at putting you on.
It's funny because I was on Guildcast talking about this. It's they wanted to add build diversity, right? That was the whole point of this big patch, right? Mm-hmm. But really, when I looked at it, it's just like Guardians are still made for tanking or supporting.
Well, actually, you say that. Actually, since the patch, DPS Guardian has become a lot more viable, and even Spirit Weapon Guardians. Like, I've seen them running around, and they do pretty well. But that's a discussion that you could spend a long time on. And frankly, I don't actually play Guardian myself. Like, I know about it tertiary. I have tertiary knowledge about it because of playing the game, obviously, and I play against Guardians all the time. But I don't know specifically for myself. But we'll get into that. Right?
Oh no, I'm a Moa! I'm a Moa! No.
Moa got improved as well. Like you can use.
I tried.
You can use the skill 5 on the Moa to kite and evade. Now that will move you off the node, but if you can survive until it runs out, of course, you should be okay. But yeah, so there are different types of roamers. So you can split down the roles that are in the game even further. There are some roamers called farpoint roamers, and they essentially will always try to push the furthest away node on the map, right? So most teams will try and own their own home and the mid node, yeah? So you've got home, you've got mid, and then you've got far, right? Or you've got close, home, or far. There are different words for it. Some people can run a farpoint harasser where instead of holding your own home, the farpoint harasser just always pushes the other team's node. And if you're in that role, then you've got a really survivable 1v1 spec that can essentially just 1v1 the person on their home and take it for himself. But if two people come to try and push him off, then they can hold them there and then still get away just fine. So you do have these different roles. You mentioned earlier Mesmers using Portal. You find a lot of Mesmers are roaming, but they're running Portal defense. So there's a lot of different ways that you can split it down and that you can really examine how roamers work. And in essence, really, there are a lot of different roles that you can play in this game, and everyone's good at different things. But this stuff doesn't really have names, I feel like, because the community's still kind of young for it. Do you know what I mean? You're doing very good holding your home, by the way. Your team is in the lead here. You've got some roamers who are really slow, but they do really insane team fight damage, like necromancers, for example. So they're just going to camp somewhere safe at mid, where team fights are really likely to happen, and then just nuke people. So there are lots of different ways that you can roam. Some are really mobile. You can have some roaming pairs like warrior and elementalist, and together they can win 2v3s and stuff if they play well enough, and that can win the game for their team. Because they can just push these fights all the time. And warriors and elementalists in particular can peel from fights as well really easily, so they can roam around quite quickly. And then of course you've got thieves that everybody always bitches about, but we will talk about that in a future video. So yeah, you've got different roles. You're a guardian, so I'm going to put you on a bunk build, and I guess we're going to be looking at that next episode, really.
Oh, just appeared on me. Oh, he's trying to get me off the point, isn't he?
Oh, you just been jumped by a thief, have you? See, this is really bad what this guy's doing, because he's 1v1ing, especially on a thief, he's 1v1ing a bunker, and you own the node. That's terrible play. A lot of people bitch about bunkers and think that there's terrible, unfun part of the gameplay, but I actually don't think that's true at all. If there is a 1v1 against a bunker going on somewhere, that person fighting the bunker has to be damn sure he's going to secure the kill. And if he's not going to secure it, because for every second that he doesn't kill you and decap it, his own team's outnumbered elsewhere. And I actually find that to be really, really exciting and really interesting.
Yeah, I actually like bunker because I like being a tank in games, so I was like, oh, bunker.
Yeah.
I want to be the best bunker, you know, like
There's
any class that has that, I'm pretty much going to want to try it out.
There's a lot more to being a bunker as well than just holding a node. You need to have a lot of CC and you need to have a lot of utility for your team, like your own DPS.
So is that engineer? Is that engineer the best right now for that?
No, I would say Guardian is very strong bunker. I've got what I consider to be a very strong Ellie bunker build as well, but it's definitely not a secure part of the meta right now. You've just been 3-capped. That's a shame that that's happened. And you've been doing okay holding home. See, really, you're a hard bunker, so you should be in mid, really. That's where I would place you, and I would have someone else defending home. But a lot of the big fights have been happening here anyway.
It seems like many of them just kind of left me straight when the game came out. Ooh, get whacked. They kind of just no one was going for this node, so I just automatically went for this node instead.
Yeah, and you know there's something to be said for that. I mean, you managed to neutralize it here, but again, like I probably wouldn't have pushed this when it was in their favor and it's 2v3. I would have gone somewhere else with you. But it's always funny on a guard as well. Look at this guy just. Oh no, that's an illusion. Okay, never mind. But I always find it funny people just walking into sanctuaries and stuff and bouncing off over and over and over again. It's really kind of funny. But yeah, so we had a look at this, guys. I think really build is the #1 thing, the first thing you really need to nail on the head before you start playing, because if you've got a bad build, even for your own reasons that you consider it's supposed to be good because of your own experience in PvE, which is not going to translate at all to PvP, if you've got a bad build, you're not going to do well in the game. So that's what I'm going to be looking at next time. I'm going to show Matt a very specific build. I'm going to talk to you guys about how to build stuff in PvP, because it's very different to PvE. And I'm going to give you guys some really good resources for where you can find the right builds and how to sort of go about that for yourself.
So just a quick recap. You have your bunkers and then your roamers, and what else?
Mm-hmm. In simplistic terms, that's what you've got, but then you have a lot of different types of roamers. You can have, and what you've got to consider as well is every map has a secondary mechanic too. So you can have people roaming, but for example, Mesmer is not Phantasm. Mesmer is incredibly strong on Kylo for Treb, because they can just drop a portal and repair it instantly, and Phantasm tends to be very strong 1v1. So if they send anyone to try and take out the Treb, then they're going to have to commit at least a few people or a very strong 1v1 spec of their own. And should they finally break the Treb, the Mesmer can just have it repaired instantly. You know, that's one really strong example. Mesmer's pretty good on Legacy of the Foefire too, because they can portal bomb the Lord. So you have a lot of things to consider, and particularly when you're building a team of 5 people, you have a lot of different roles. You've got how many bunkers do you even want to have on your team? You need 2 nodes to win, but do you want 2 hard bunkers? You're going to be lacking a lot of DPS if you do that, especially if your bunker's sort of just been left to rot on a node that they're never pushing. Do you want to have a character that's really survivable and can push far and get away just fine? Do you want to actually dedicate someone to do that? And how quick do you want the roamers themselves to be? Do you want a really slow one that's going to win team fights like a Necromancer, or do you want quicker ones like Warrior but need a lot of CC from other people? There's a lot to consider, but we'll look at specific comps later. But essentially, that's how it breaks down. I would suggest to anyone who wants to start PvPing that's watching these series, first have a think about what kind of character you want to play, which of those roles sounds cool to you, and then pick the class that suits it best. And then we'll go from there. Really, it starts with the build, though. Now we know quite a lot about how people play Conquest and how the game type itself works, and we can get into the nitty-gritty of the builds next time, I guess. Anything else, really?
Nah, that's it. Whew.
Oh, yes. Quite a heavy one, but there you go, guys. Thanks very much for watching, and
stay visual.
Amazing. Awesome, dude.